Hello, it's Pete Taylor here, day 18 of my sourdough Saturday preparations, and today I'm going to start giving my rye starter some extra treatment, extra attention, because it's got further to go than the wheat starter, which is in pretty good condition. I'm more than halfway through now my preparation for sourdough Saturday. I want to make absolutely sure that this rye starter is really fit for the job when we come to use it in the herring corn mill. I was watching Dave Myers from the Hairy Bikers when he was in his Egyptian trip, and he was talking to somebody who's making sourdough bread at home, and he said to them, "What kind of yeast is this that you're putting in?" when they added the yeast to the dough, and the man said, "It's natural yeast." And really that's what it's all about, this sourdough. It's all about a natural process that we have to observe and manipulate to get the result that we're after. So I've been looking at this every day really for the 2 weeks, this starter, but now I want to really put it under the microscope a bit and make sure that it's really coming on. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to cut it back and feed it this morning, and then several times during the day I'm going to feed it again to really pump it up a bit and see what it looks like at various stages during the day. So it's had about 12 hours since it was last fed last night, and it's developed some nice big bubbles this morning, so it's definitely been working hard overnight, and I want to see how much more of that I can get happening by the end of the day. So let's just have a look at it as it is when I start this day of extra special treatment for the rye. So there's the rye. You can see it's got lots of big bubbles in it now. The smell has been quite sharp but consistently fruity for the last few times I've looked at it, but these big bubbles are pretty good evidence that there's something. Trying to find some without writing on. You can see there's plenty of action going on there. It's getting really heavily active, and it's got a lot more bumpy surface because it's got so many big bubbles underneath. Give it a quick stir. You can see it's still very porridgey and bits of frothy sounds coming up there, but plenty of gas in that there now. So yes, that's a very, very yeasty smell today, which is good. It's less emphasis on the alcohol, more of the yeast smell in evidence. So I'm going to cut that back and then give it a double feed, so it's going to be 50 grams of flour, 70 grams of water, and then I'm going to repeat that several times during the day. Okay, so first job, cut this right back so that we have a fairly small amount of culture left that's going to get a relatively large feed of flour when it gets to the 50 grams of flour. Give it a stir to make sure that what I'm discarding is representative of the whole batch. I don't want to be throwing away the one side and leaving the other side if it's not got a consistent mix throughout. So mix everything up properly first before discarding. Good big spoonful of that in there. So that's what I'm going to be feeding during the day. I'm taking the opportunity to change the pot while I'm at it. So what's in here is what I'm discarding. Quite a, well, actually, probably that much. Discard that much. Leave this much. Double feed of flour. Double feed of water. Mix it all up. And come back in a few hours. This will probably take an hour or two to get into its stride, so it'll be bubbling away within an hour or two. So if I come back in about 3 hours, it should have had most of the benefits of the feed. It should be sitting back, relaxing a little and saying, that was good, I wonder when my next feed's going to come, and at that point I'm going to come in with the second feed, so that it really gets the idea that life's all about eating all day long. That's what I want it to be feeling like for this culture, and then it'll really get busy and we'll see some action later on in the day, hopefully. Right, so that's all well absorbed, there's no dry bits there, nothing really sticking on the side. I'm going to cover that with a tea towel, I think, probably. Let the air get at it today. And repeat the process later, so see you later. So here we go, let's cut this rye starter back. I'll give it a stir first, make sure it's all at the same state. Still very porridgey, it's not looking spongy at all, it's just drops of, there's no spring in it, but then it is rye, so you know it's going to behave differently from wheat with the wheat gluten. Because there's gluten in this is not the kind that gets stretchy, it is going to look droppy like porridge. So chuck about half of this out, slightly more than half there probably. Can go in with a double feed, 50 grams of flour, 70 grams of water. Good stir up and then leave it for another few hours. And hopefully by the end of the day these progressive feeds will have made it more and more active, so we should see some really good results by the end of the day. What I would say is, although this has been fed regularly for over 2 weeks, it still tastes really sour, so I'm hoping it's going to be a little less sour than this by the time we get to sourdough Saturday. But the nature of the rye starter is that it is going to be a sour beast compared to the wheat one. This is really quite sharp still, which is why I want to keep cutting it back and feeding it again. So that's all mixed up now, no lumps, nothing sticking to the side, all the flour's been taken up, and it's thinking, great, it's tea time again. So we'll leave that for a few hours, talk to it again at tea time, give it another feed, and we'll see how we get on. Here we are, nearly 6 o'clock, so it's about 5 hours since the rye had its last feed, and so I'm going to cut it back again and give it another feed. We'll just have a look before I do that, see what it's been doing in the last 5 hours since I fed it. So here it is, it's been bubbling away quite vigorously. There's some big bubbles popping on the surface. There's a big one down here, it's just, where is it, about there, just popped. And as you can see when you get closer, there's lots of big bubbles just lurking under the surface. From the side you can see that there's plenty of bubbles forming there in the mixture, and that's really going for it now. So I'm going to give that a stir, see what kind of smell comes off it. You can see it's sort of falling back there, so it has risen up quite a lot during the course of the afternoon. That's starting to smell beery again now, which I'm quite happy with, but it's surprising because it's been more fruity than that for the last few times I've visited. Let's just have a little taste. That's zingy, like a very, very fresh yoghurt. Still quite sour taste to it, but it's really, really going quite strong there. It's fizzing on the tongue, really. That's the best way to describe it, I think. You can see stirring it up moved all these bubbles up to the top there. There's plenty of gas coming out there. So I'm just going to feed that now. I'm going to knock it back to about half its size and feed it with 50 grams of flour, 70 grams of water. And I think I've probably just got time for one more feed later on today. So we'll see what it's like towards the end of the day. So here we are at the end of the day. I've just time for one last feed of my rye sourdough culture in preparation for sourdough Saturdays in a couple of weeks' time. It's been quite busy in the few hours since I last fed it. Plenty of bubbles, plenty of action going on there, and then I've got to feed my white wheat, which has had nothing to eat since yesterday. So that's 2 jobs for the end of the day. Let's have a look what they look like before I feed them. So here's the rye. It's bulked up quite a lot since I fed it. As you can see, there's quite a lot of culture in there, lots of big bubbles in there now. So it's been really busy in the last few hours, producing lots of good gas. So that's a good sign. It's had a good day overall, and it's going to get one more feed, and then I'll leave it out overnight in a new clean pot. So let's have a look at the wheat. This has been in the fridge for 24 hours. A little bit of waste water that I'll just pour off before I feed it. But other than that, it's looking quite spongy, stretchy kind of consistency. Lots of bubbles. That's in very good shape. Now this doesn't smell of anything at all really. So it has quite a mild flavour again now. It was quite sharp a few days ago, but it's quite mild again now. I'll just have a little investigate of the rye, see what that's like. Smell wise there's nothing coming off it, but when I see how that's collapsed there with all the gas being knocked out of it, and that doesn't smell quite so strong as it has been for the last few times. So let's have a little taste, see what that tastes like. It's still fairly sharp, but it's not as sharp as it has been, so that's good news. Sort of grapefruit type tanginess at the moment, which is an improvement on where it's been for a while. So all in all, I'm quite happy with the way that's shaping up now, and we'll have another look tomorrow. And this is what the rye looked like in the morning after it had its 4 feeds yesterday. As you can see, it's reached right up to the top of the pot, and I'm glad I put the lid on because that's held it back. Plenty of growth there, plenty of really big bubbles. If you look at it from the side, you can see it's been right up to the top of the pot and then shrunk down when it's finished eating all the flour. And if you look at it from the side, you can see there's lots of really good big bubbles there, all sorts of shapes and sizes. So that's what a well-fed rye looks like, and I'm very happy to take that forward now because I know it's really vigorously active. Let's have a little taste. You can see when I punch it, it deflates even more, and big bubble coming out there. It's still quite sharp. In fact, it's still very sharp really. So hopefully that's going to turn down a bit over the next few days.